I have a very good friend of mine that I've known since right after college is John. His name is now the Chief Financial Officer of the Philadelphia Phillies. Anybody here from Philadelphia? Any like Philadelphia people here? Like a few people? Okay. So my advice to you, if you're going to have any friends in college, you want them to be like chief financial officers of Major League Baseball teams, like a good friend to have. This guy, if you're a chief financial officer of a Major League Baseball team, any professional sports organization, but John in particular, one of the perks that he has is that every year he can invite family members, friends, to purchase tickets, postseason tickets, to go to the games. And we're big Phillies fans in our family. I have a couple of small kids. I have we go to all the games, go to spring training. So when the Phillies made it to the postseason in 2007, John sent me this form to fill out that said, do you want to buy any postseason tickets? And being the optimistic fan, I'm like, yes, I'll buy them all. That's fine, or whatever. Phillies got eliminated in the first round. 2008 came around. By the way, this story does have relevance. I'll get to that in a minute. 2008 comes around, and the Phillies make it to the postseason. And when they made it to the postseason, not only that, for anybody who's here from Philadelphia knows what happens. Nobody else here who's not from Philadelphia, you could care less. But we know. The Phillies won the World Series in 2008. They won all the way. They beat the Tampa Bay Rays in 5 games of the 2008 World Series. And that year, I went to, with my 2 sons, this will become important soon, I went to every single postseason game in 2008. We had the same seats in left field, about 7 rows behind the left fielder, for every single game. Now, my wife is from England. Not sure if anybody here is from England or not. She doesn't know like a baseball from a cricket ball. So like trying to explain to them why I'm like pulling my kids out of school. My kids are 14 and 13 years old, right? At 3 in the afternoon or 2, and we're not getting home till like 2 in the morning. They start those games so late. But we went to every single game. So the first series, the Milwaukee Brewers came in. I remember Carl Crawford was the left fielder, and he was there. It was very exciting. Then the Dodgers came in. Does anybody remember, like in L.A., Manny Ramirez was playing left field for the Dodgers at the time. So he was there right in front of us, and the abuse and the profanity that guy received was unbelievable, particularly from my kids. The rest of the fans also very abusive as well. Anyways, the Phillies beat the Dodgers, and then came the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, the entire city of Philadelphia was going nuts, and I guess the 4 fans who followed the Rays at the time were very excited as well. But they came in, and the World Series that year, I don't know if you know this or not, it went 5 games that year, but not just 5 games. In Game 5 of the 2008 World Series, there was actually 2 parts to that game. Ask anyone from Philly, we know this. There was a Part A, and there was a Part B. And here's what happened. In Part A of Game 5, the game went all the way to the 7th inning. The Phillies were winning. The weather got so bad that they stopped the game, convened all the big wigs in the league, and said, we can't end the World Series like this. It's not a good thing to do. We're going to send all the fans home with their ticket stubs. Imagine explaining that to your wife. And then wait like 2 or 3 days until they called us back to finish the game. So we all left the ballpark after the 7th inning, went home, waited like 3 days, and finally came back to resume the game in the bottom of the 7th inning. And we did. And the top of the 8th inning came around, and Rocco Baldelli, who played for the Rays at that time, he came up to bat, and Rocco Baldelli hits a home run into the left field stands, and my son catches the ball. Now, let me explain to you, so you know, a World Series baseball is like not your typical ball, right? It is not like you go to a game, this is MLB baseball or whatever. It says on it, World Series 2008, like on this ball. And this kid, 14 at the time, after a little bit of a scrum, comes up with the ball. So he's got it in his hands. Now, let me ask you, I don't know where everybody here is from, whatever, but like, typically, at least in Philly and some other cities, when the opposing player hits a home run, what do? Yeah, you throw it back, right? So this kid, the entire section is screaming at this kid, throw it back, throw it back, throw it back. Meanwhile, on the other side, there was all these people saying, no, keep the ball, it's a souvenir. And the kid, he's looking this way, he's looking that way, doesn't know what to do. Finally, he looks up at me. His wise, sage dad, 40-something years old, guy's got all the answers. And he looks up at me in the midst of all this, and he's like, Dad, what do I do? And I looked down at him and I said, Sam, beats the crap out of me. I had nothing. I didn't know what to say, no answers. I had nothing for this kid. Luckily, not 3 rows in front of us were sitting 2 guys, okay? These guys, about my age, okay, wearing no shirts whatsoever. It was like 24 degrees out. It's like November. No shirts. Painted completely in white, head all the way down to here. Both of these guys shaved their chests with big Phillies P's on them, wearing beads and big red wigs. I mean, idiots, right? They were there, 2 rows in front. They were there the entire postseason. One of those guys, he turns around and he calls out to my kid. He goes, "Hey, Sam." Now, of course, everybody knew the kid's name. Everybody knows his name. We were there the whole fall, right? He goes, "Hey, Sam, hold on for a minute." The guy reaches into his bag and pulls out a Little League baseball. He says, "Throw this ball back, kid. Hold on to the World Series ball." And he did. This was like 7 pitches into the next batter, of course. They had to stop the whole game, collect the ball, do whatever. But the kid had it right now. Let me tell you something. This was back in 2008. Since then, my kid's room has been condemned by the Pennsylvania Department of Health 3 times. You don't want to go anywhere near this. Nothing horrible, right? But sitting there on his wall is that 2008 World Series ball, like a prized possession for that kid. And whenever he tells that story, and he tells that story a lot, I am not even part of it. I have nothing to do with it. It is all about the guys with the wigs and how they gave him the Little League baseball and he threw it back. Now, why am I telling you this story? It's part, who cares, right? There's reason for this story. Let me refresh your memory. We were there for every single postseason game, every single Phillies game of this whole 2008 campaign with 2 boys, aged 13 and 14 years old. I probably had 200 Little League baseballs sitting around my house. And I didn't think, I am such a dope, like I don't know, that maybe I should bring a ball with me to this game. I mean, like, look, balls are like flying all over the place. We're sitting in left field. I mean, even if my kids didn't catch the ball, maybe some other kid would catch the ball. I could look like a genius to that kid, right? Right now, the only geniuses were 2 guys in wigs to my kids, not me at all. I didn't think ahead. Why is that important to all of us? Well, let me tell you why. We're business owners. We're business people. We're senior managers in the businesses that we run and that we work on, right? And I can tell you this much. I interview thousands of business people. I have hundreds of clients, my really smart guys. When I say guys, I mean men and women. Guys, people running companies, people in senior management. And you know what? They all have this one common trait about them. One thing that I've seen differentiates that real successful person, that survivor, versus anybody else. You know what that one thing is? They look ahead. They're always thinking of the future. They're not making decisions based on whether they're going to make payroll 2 weeks from now or they're going to make their sales next month. They're looking at stuff going on all around them now, certain events, certain things in Washington, certain political, certain technology things. They're making decisions now that will affect their business 3, 4, 5 years from now. That's what the smart guys do. That's what I have learned.